Barely Filtered. I have on a guest today who you probably heard of if you use social media or create your own content. Her name is Tezza Barton, or as everybody calls her, Tezza, and her app is called Tezza. It's pretty much one of the biggest apps like in all of apps. So if you haven't heard of it, you're probably living under a rock. But she is just a really, really phenomenal person, but also example of a very present day entrepreneur. She has showed us that there's so many ways to make money being an artist nowadays. I think back in the day, everybody was like, oh, you know, if you pursue photography or painting, then like you're going to be eating ramen noodles for the rest of your life. She has showed us that that is not the case, and she has empowered so many other people to be able to make their own content, to partner with brands, and to create something really beautiful. So I'm really excited to introduce her today and to talk a little bit about her story. I looked at her as somebody who had the perfect life, with, you know, which she really does. I mean, like perfect marriage, kids and everything, but she has gone through some really serious hardship. And I think there's always something that I learn that I'm surprised by when I meet people who seem to, you know, have everything going on. And usually it's like hard. It's some tough obstacle that they've had to overcome that's given them kind of an edge over everybody else. And I think that definitely is the case with Tezza. So happy to have her here. And I'm also supposed to talk about what's happening in my personal life. So I guess I'll just go into that a little bit first before I introduce her. Dating. Let's talk about dating for a second, because that is like what half of you guys are here for. Just the good old dirty tea. And I do have some for you today. I started talking to this guy who is like, so he's a really well-known comedian. He's so funny. I can't see it really being anything serious, but I kind of want to go on some dates with him just because he's so funny. So I'm going to go out with that guy. And then I also started talking to this other guy who's okay, he's so attractive. Like, he's definitely a 10 or an 11. I usually don't go for anybody over like a 7 or 8. It's like a rule that I have because I get nervous if you're too attractive, and then I start acting weird. So I feel like you can't be, this is an insecurity of mine. I'm going to work on it. I think I feel more comfortable if I know that like I have an edge over you in some way. And usually in my dating experience, it's been that like I'm more attractive than you. Okay, I said it. Okay, I know I'm a horrible person. And I'm going to work on that though, because it would be really fun to be with somebody who's really, really attractive, like super hot. And to be honest, like I'm not saying I was hotter than my ex-husband. There were things about him that I thought were just really super attractive, but since, like, I guess more in my dating life, I have been in a safe way picking guys who I don't think are a solid 10. And I'm not saying I'm a solid 10, but this guy is a solid 10. Like, he is so hot, tatted. Like, this is the kind of guy that I like. Tatted, really tall. And so I don't want to give too much of him away just in case he listens, because obviously that has not worked out well for me in the past. But we were talking about stories, and he was talking about how he was in juvie a few times in high school. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like that's a red flag. Is that a red flag? But then I'm like, if people judge me on the things I did when I was 15, then I would never have a date either. So do I still go out with him even though he went to juvie? I will, because he's very attractive. I'm at least going to meet him in person and see if it's real. But another red flag, he was like asking me for pictures when we had been talking for one day. I just feel like that's asking for pictures. Like, go on my Instagram if you want to see me. Like, what kind of pictures do you want to see? I mean, I guess maybe he wanted a picture of me, like, just off the cuff. I feel weird taking a selfie of myself and sending it to somebody. Like, is this an audition? Anyway, anyway, he's so hot, and I'm excited to meet him. And I'm already getting nervous. That is my only update that I have for you on the dating front. I will keep you guys posted. And now, without further ado, I will introduce the Tezza Barton. Okay, everybody, we are here now with Tezza, aka Tessa. Is it Tezza? Tessa?
Always the first question.
Yeah.
It's Tezza. Let's go with Tezza.
Let's go with Tezza because that's what everybody knows.
Even my mom's calling me that.
Really?
These days, so yeah.
But growing up, is your real name Teresa?
No, ever. Even my bank teller will be like, "Have a good day, Teresa." I'm like, you can see my legal name there. It says Tessa, so that's rude. Yeah, but it's my real name is Tessa. My friends used to call me Tezza as like a nickname, and now it's stuck. So here we are.
Oh my gosh. Well, I gotta admit something that's like a little embarrassing. When I was going through because I usually, to prepare for when I interview people, I listen to other interviews they've done just to see like what do people already know about them. And I'm sitting here being like, oh my God, this girl is so accomplished. She has done so much. And I'm like, what have I done with my life? I've done nothing.
Yeah, right. Look at you. Look at everything you're doing.
But I mean, like, I feel like people must look at you and they're like, her husband is so hot. Her kids are so cute. Your daughter is so striking. You have this amazing company. Like, do you ever just stop and think, wow, I'm crushing it at the game of life right now?
I mean, I don't think that. I wish I felt that way. I always feel stressed a little bit, but I do feel like I feel extremely blessed and grateful. And like every day my husband and I truly look at each other and we're like, wow, we just like want to make sure we remember how lucky and grateful we feel for like what we're experiencing. And I think like, those early ages of kids and all that just makes you kind of like, there are those moments where you're like, this is crazy, but also like the most beautiful chaos ever.
Your chaos looks even more beautiful because like, it's filtered so beautifully. And I'm like, she's making pancakes right now. That's not what it looks like when I make pancakes with my kids.
Yes, of course. I'm very like aesthetic. It's not always as pretty as it seems.
No, I know. Don't worry. I'm not here to be like, you are contributing to everybody thinking that our lives need to look as beautiful as they are on Instagram, because I appreciate what you're doing with, just showing people how beautiful things can look. Like, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to pull way back from all of that. You know her because she's an entrepreneur. She developed the Tezza app. I feel like I don't know anybody who doesn't use that.
If you don't, time to sign up. Let's go.
Sign up now. And you were in a band. Were you a singer?
Yeah.
Okay. And because you mentioned being shy, but you're like, I love performing rock and roll.
Yeah. I can give you the nitty gritty on that, but like long story short is that I grew up, playing music. My whole family does as well. My little sister was like the singer, the showstopper, the confident one. And I started to like write music and play shows with her, but it was like she was the star. I was kind of like, I would say two things into the mic and then I would sing and play the guitar and whatever. And unfortunately she passed away when I was 19 and she was 17. So that was like a life shifting situation. And
I can't imagine.
I at that point was like had this love for music and I felt also this duty to her to like keep going with it because she wanted, that was like her dream, our dream at that point. But and so I started playing shows on my own and it was like I had to rip off a Band-Aid and I took on, it was like the real me came out. Like I didn't know
she
it was
passed
in
away
there.
And then you continued to play shows without. That must have been so hard.
It was so hard, but my older brother played in the band at the time. And so, we were like, we're going to continue this. Yeah. My younger brother started playing in the band. Then my husband started playing in the band. It sounds like cheesy family band, but I promise we were cool.
Can we cut to these concerts, please?
I'll send you some clips.
Oh my God.
So it was like, I feel like, and that really changed my whole life. Like from that moment on, it was like, okay, what do you want to do in life? Seize every moment is such a gift. And like, what are you passionate about? What dreams do you have? Like, go after it. There's no moment to waste. And that really just was like the big shift for me.
That's so interesting because I feel like when horrible things like that or just really crushing, heartbreaking things like that in life happen, you see people go kind of in one of two directions of like, they let it kind of impede their life and kind of weigh them down, or they use it as fuel. And I wonder, it sounds like she kind of gave you permission. I'm thinking like, when you're with your kids at the playground and it's like they feel shy when they first get there, but then like they know you're there, and then they're like, the more they know you're there, they feel permission to like, act crazy and go down the slide and everything. It's like your sister gave you that permission to feel safe, but like you could also move out of your comfort zone.
Exactly. Yeah. That's beautifully said. But even for all my siblings, like, I think playing in a band, if you could get your kids to play in a band, it teaches you so much about yourself and gives you kind of this confidence, even if it doesn't start out that way. Like slowly over time, like my little brother used to be so shy. He would only look down and play guitar, but he was like amazing. And then after he played in my band, I moved on. He started doing his own music. He became like a rock star himself. Like it's just, and like now I don't even consider him shy at all. He's like the best musician of us all. So it was like we all did it for him, kind of. You know?
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Your family reminds me of like a more talented version of my family.
No, when you guys are all the stars, it's fine.
No, because we all were musicians too. My parents were musicians, and my brother played in a band, and my sisters and I would sing, but we never. I don't know. I need to start. I actually bought a guitar and I want to start taking guitar lessons. Do you play guitar?
Yes.
Yeah.
You need to do it.
Yeah.
So fun.
My son has a piano teacher who also teaches him guitar, and now he's teaching me guitar, which is like,
gosh, that's so
me and my
cute.
6-year-old take guitar lessons together. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I keep saying I'm going to back it up, but then I get stuck in like something interesting that you said. So I know you grew up in Utah. Did you grow up Mormon?
Yes.
Wait, you know, we have a funny connection. My sister's boyfriend, the Mormon thing. This is an ADHD show, so you're just going to have to follow along with it. My sister's boyfriend's sister used to be best friends with you. Did you know that? Okay.
Wait.
Michael.
No, yeah,
Steven.
Mary Stevens. She's my best friend.
Okay, yeah. I'm like, do you know her?
Yes, of course.
Like, if you don't, this is weird.
No, yeah.
That's so funny. So, like, what a random connection.
So random, but like, I was so happy because I knew you guys before any of the Stevens knew you guys, and then once that started happening, I was like, wait, but all my worlds are colliding. I love it.
So funny. Yeah, he's such a sweet guy, and I don't know any, like, he's like our only introduction into the Mormon culture, and we're like, these people are so nice and they drink so much soda, like, what's going on here?
Yeah, heard.
That's all I know so far about Mormons, but yeah, so far so good. We like them.
Okay, good, check. You know,
so you met your husband when you were like a baby.
Literally, I think I was at his baby shower because I was born before him, and my mom threw the baby shower. So it's like
Did you guys like each other growing up?
Just like friends, but he was always the hot kid at the family party.
Yeah.
But he was a year younger, so
like,
when you're a kid, you're like, like you're young.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And then as we got older, it was kind of, I mean, maybe I was interested, but like we went to different schools, blah, blah, blah. And then he went to college with my brother and they were roommates. And then that's when we were like, hey.
Oh, so what's the age difference?
A year.
Oh, yeah. But like it makes a difference when you're younger.
Yeah.
But obviously not anymore. Okay, so I have to ask about that because you guys, so he happened to be a developer, like, and so you guys worked together to create the Tezza app.
Yes.
And you still work together, and you have a family together. Like, how is this working? Do you ever just want to murder each other, or you just actually love each other?
I wish I could. It's honestly, we just love it. We love it so much. And I don't know. Like, sometimes I'm like, oh, like,
you don't need to pretend like it's not going well. You can be like, no, it's really working. We need the secret is what it is.
I think we found, like, when we first started dating, we realized we both liked being really creative. And I didn't think he was a creative person. I was like judgmental.
Yeah.
Which is like so against everything I believe in. And the more I started to like let him be creative and join in on things I was doing, I realized, wow, you're actually more creative than me. Like, I'm obsessed with your ideas and the way you think. And like, he kind of is such a dreamer and really believes that anything's possible, and he like works quick, which was the opposite of the way I worked.
Okay.
And so it was like we were fulfilling these dynamics of each other, like in our workflows that, I don't know, we really almost like relied on each other. And I think that is why it works. Like, we both have space to do things the way we want to do, but it's like supporting the things that neither of us is, or the things that we're missing, if that makes sense.
I love that. I think that's a part of romance and relationships that we don't hear about a lot, but it is so true. It's like you guys work synergistically almost. And I think that's so important to appreciate and to be able to see in your partner something that you don't have yourself.
Yes. And I will say, I do need to backtrack. Like, there was an era where we wanted to rip each other's heads off.
Yeah.
And it was mostly when like, and just, I guess the advice on that is like, it was mostly when one of us was really passionate about something and trying to let the other one be a part of it, but the other, you know,
you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. And so then once we realized like, oh, okay, like we can work through this. And if we, especially like now that we run a business and we have employees and all that, it's like, this is your role, this is my role. We can like come together on these things. But I think having those boundaries is.
So who's the boss?
Well, we both are.
You have to both
but
be.
different categories, kind of, you know. He's like the head of the product. Like,
okay.
Really, he is making sure there aren't too many steps, aren't too many buttons, and all these kinds of things. And I'm more like the look and the feel and making sure it's like relatable to our customer. And I don't know. So they're different buckets, but they go together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you found that because you guys were one of the first and you're like OG influencer, and then you created this app, you know, by creators for creators, right? I feel like you're one of the first people, if not like the first to do that, right? What about all the competition now? Are you guys feeling like, are you feeling nervous? What's happening?
I love this question. No, I honestly welcome it because I think it keeps us like innovating and keeps us thinking, okay, how can we be better? How can we like serve our customer better? And I think it also means like we're doing something right. Like there is like still a need for, you know, a way to edit and create an aesthetic and all of that. And, you know, we lean heavily into like brand, like how are we not just like a tool, but something that you can like be a part of, an experience and a place to come be inspired and all of these things. So it's kind of always pushing us to think ahead and keep innovating.
Cool. Very cool. Wow. Okay. So if you were to give a piece of advice to somebody who wanted to start a brand it doesn't need to be the influencer space, but like in a creative space where I feel like a lot of people feel like it's so oversaturated or there's so much competition, what would you say?
Okay, I would say definitely do it. Like if you have an idea, do it and do it fast. And like you will learn everything you need to know quickly rather than like holding on to your idea and thinking about it for like years and years. It's going to change by the time you get it out. So first of all, like try something quickly and you'll know what works about it and what doesn't, and you'll be able to actually get to what's going to work. That's my first set of advice. And my second set of advice would be like, I have so many friends in this industry who have now started brands and that are crushing it.
Yeah.
And it's so freaking cool. And I feel like if you look at the common thread that all these people did, they found the thing they were like most passionate about that they could talk about forever, that they could niche down on, and it was so specific to them. And it doesn't have to be like if you focus more on your community and the people you're serving with whatever this product is you're launching or brand or whatever it is, like you will have somebody to serve a product to, and that they're gonna like fall in love with it if you're just as passionate about it. So if you like focus on that like community aspect the most, like there will be something to do. Like I hear about brands all the time. I'm like, I swear that looks like this brand or this, but it doesn't matter. Like their community's obsessed because they're obsessed. So it's like really lean into your community, ask them, make them a part of it. And I feel like, you know, you'll be able to iterate over time and make it better as you go.
Yeah, I love that. I do. I also love the point that you make about what you're giving to have to be like of value to other people, which seems so obvious, but I do think we kind of get trapped in these modes of being like, oh, do I look good here, or how does like almost too self-serving in a way with our content. No matter like if it's for a brand or for your personal social media or whatever, and the goal should always be like, what is the service that I'm offering, what value am I giving, because it's not sustainable for it to be all about you. Nobody really cares about you as much as you think that people do, which is actually a relief.
Exactly. Yeah. If you're ever worried about it, literally you're the only one that cares.
Yeah
100%.
Oh my God. So how many siblings did you grow up with?
4.
Oh, you're 5 like me.
Yeah.
Okay. And
I know our family.
What's your birth order?
Synergy there.
Yeah.
I'm second oldest.
Me too.
I knew we got along.
Oh my gosh. And then you have an older brother?
Yeah.
And yeah, so do I. And then you had your younger sister. What was her name?
Sophie.
Oh my God. There's so many similarities.
I know, right?
She's 2 years younger.
Yeah, 2 years younger.
And then what are the
2 younger brothers?
2
Luke
younger
and Cole,
brothers. Yeah. Okay. And are they all artists now too?
You know, we all are. It's just like the family I think my youngest brother, he might go on a different path.
Yeah.
We'll see how it all pans out.
He's the musician though?
No, the second to youngest is
Okay.
the musician.
Okay.
But we're all just, at the end of the day, my family is like a giant, it's so cool. We all do different things, but somehow they all kind of intertwine.
Yeah.
Even down to like my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, like interior designers, painters, graphic designers, whatever. And then they're all like helping each other in their careers in some little ways. It's really cool.
Wow. I love that. I love that it's not like a competition either.
Yeah.
That there's enough room at the top and we all can bring something different.
Totally. And I feel like I also, you know, I watched my mom. She started her interior design business when I was really young and she succeeded. Like, and then I watched all my cousins and my aunt, like they paint for a living, and my grandma.
Wow.
And all these women around me just starting businesses around being creative. And I feel like this narrative has changed. But when I first started in this business, it was like being an artist, like you're going to be poor, like the starving artist.
Yeah.
And now it's like women are taking over and like we are making money and we're starting
For
businesses
sure.
and it's like we own the creative space.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Do you feel though now that you're kind of like, I don't like before I really dove into what it is, like your background and everything, I was like, oh, she's in tech. And I'm like, she's like a tech businesswoman, which like, you're more like, no, I'm actually a starving artist. And I'm like, well, I guess you can be both. But do you ever feel like since you scaled so massively that now you're stepping more into a business role, and does it impede on your creativity?
Yes. It's like a big pain point for me because I love it. And I love being able to like have a successful business and run it and try and think of how to like keep going. It's a different challenge. And I don't get to be as like nitty gritty creative all the time as I used to be, even though I am still the one making every single preset, coming up with the photo shoots, doing all the things, but it's different now. And there's so much more pressure on it, you know?
Yeah.
But I think that is something I'm trying to figure out, you know, how can I continue to like, maybe I need to go back to writing music and playing music to kind of fulfill some of those things.
We can start a band.
Okay,
Since
Yeah.
I'll be pretty good in a few months, probably.
Do you play, guitar, and then don't you play like violin?
I sing, and I can play a little bit of classical piano, but I don't
Perfect.
think,
we can make
work?
that work. Trust me, I got you.
Okay.
That's where I started, so it's easy to do the other.
Okay. All right, cool. So we have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't consider myself an artsy person, but
I would.
You think? I don't. Well, thank you. That's actually such a big compliment. Let me just take that in for a moment. But I just feel like it's like two different parts of your brain when you're like creating and in that flow, especially like a photographer. Like I always look at photographers and I'm like, you're such a different breed of a person because you're like behind the lens, and then like so much of it is the editing and the stuff that's just not glamorous and so tedious, and especially not being able to be like the main star of the show. Like you're behind, I don't know, me, obviously I'm in front of the camera. I would hate to be behind the camera. I'd be like so bored. I don't know. So it just, I feel like there's that vibe. And then there's the you who's the model, because you are taking.
Only because I have to be.
Only because you have to be? Well, you're beautiful and you do it very well.
Thank you.
Is there something that you need to see in your daily life in order to keep you creative?
I don't know if there's something I see in my daily life, but I do definitely like try and find that. And if I don't have it, I'm like, oh, I'm depressed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
very artistic.
And a lot of that, yeah, right. A lot of that comes from, I think, wanting to constantly be outdoing yourself, which is part of like this, it's a mix of like, there's this job, right, where you want to succeed and people want to like, you want people to like what you're posting or whatever that part of the job is. But then there's, am I growing as an artist? Am I pushing my limits? Like, have I like am I tapped on my creativity? Do I have nothing left to give?
Yeah.
Like you kind of, I think that comes as you get older too. Like I was so good at something. I honed in on my skill and got really good at it. And then it became my job. And then I'm like, wait, so did I just stop being good at something? Like, did I keep, growing on that? So I am trying to find that balance. I really don't know, but I do like to give myself weird challenges. I went to art school, so maybe that comes from that. But like, if I feel overwhelmed or like I can't tap into my creative self, I give myself a homework assignment. Okay. Like I'm going to do a project on lighting, and I'm going to come up with really cool, weird photos that are all focused on different types of lighting, just so it'll give me something new to try and push my brain. Or I'll see a really strange image in a magazine, and I'll be like, how is that done? And try and like recreate it, just to get my brain trying other things rather than focusing too much on, am I doing the right pose? Is this like cool enough? Blah, blah, blah. That can feel less creative, if that makes sense.
That's so interesting too, because I also feel like a real artist always thinks that like the layman like me is looking at it like critiquing. Like I would have all your photos just look so good, and I don't know what, because I don't have that kind of an eye. Like I'm not able to pick out, why does this look so amazing? But so I think you can sleep soundly knowing that none of us know what the hell we're to look for, and all of your stuff looks amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. Honestly, that's really why I think made the app in the beginning. Like we wanted also the editing process to feel as fun and as light as, you know, going out and creating and taking a photo, and not daunting and heavy and like it's just this random tool. But like, how can we keep that feeling going and make you feel creative even when you are not up to the task, you know?
I do.
I do.
I actually do. That's my everyday life. So tell me, if you were to create another app, if somebody came up to you and they're like, I'm going to give you like all the funding that you could possibly want, what would be, or it doesn't need to be an app. If you were to create another company, what would it be?
Gosh, that is like a huge question.
I know. Well, I just
do I give you my good ideas or not? No.
Yeah. No, I know. Right. Well, okay. Maybe not like, I don't know. This is like in a perfect world, because I'm just curious, like what a creative mind thinks that we need more of, or like what needs improving.
Well, lately I've been extremely into like home and furniture design and art. I obviously come from this family of artists, and even just for my own home, I find it really hard to find really good art. And so that is kind of really actually where we started. We started with collage kits, and there were these package of prints you could buy and put them up on your wall, and it was like a curated photo.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was the first product we ever launched when we lived in New York, and we did that for years. We still sell this product actually.
Right, I heard that you sell prints. Yeah. Where do they come from?
So they're all photos we take, and we like curate these kits of images. But really, you know, and we always kind of debate, do we want to make this part of the Tezza brand, or is it its own thing? But selling and curating art, and also just supporting artists around the world and giving them like a platform to do that, like that's something that I'm really passionate about as well. So
yeah, what's the app that artists come on to sell their, like one of the most common ones, like
Etsy, or
not Etsy, but it's
Desenio,
more like,
or
maybe that's it, more like fine art artists come on to sell like their creations.
Yeah, there are a few. Yeah.
I don't know. I need to get more into the art space so that I can sound cool at parties.
No, you don't. You're fine. I got you. I'll just be your wing woman and talk about the art.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just text you and ask you if it's cool or not.
Yeah.
So tell me about Tezza the mom. Like, has this come naturally to you? Do you feel like you were made for this job because your kids are adorable and it seems like they're doing well and your business is thriving? So how are you doing that? Asking for a friend. I
mean, back at you. I'm like looking at people like you, honestly.
No, I'm dying. Slow down.
I think we're all a little bit of both, right? It's like, I do love being a mom. I think it's the coolest, best thing I've ever done. And I always tell people, and maybe this isn't the case for everyone, but one thing that surprised me the most was how intuitive it was. Like I'm not the type to do research. I'm not the type to read a lot of books and blah, 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 and try and, you know, I'm just kind of like, I'll see what happens when it happens. Yeah. Whether that's good or not. And so I'm always kind of surprised at how like your intuition kicks in, and like your experience from, you know, your childhood, like it all just kind of comes back. Obviously I had an amazing childhood, amazing parents, so like I rely heavily on a lot of the things that they did with us, but I'm loving it. I don't know.
Yeah. And you have a little girl and a 3-month-old.
Yeah.
And everything, you 3 months after delivering a baby is like a tough time for a woman sometimes.
Yeah. You know, there have been ups and downs for sure.
Yeah.
I would say the easiest part is like you already are used to sacrificing the time. So you're not like, oh, I can't go out with my friends because I have to find a babysitter, blah, blah, blah. It's like you already know that gig. So that part you're like, got it. But the hardest part is like the separation of your spouse. Like he's taking care of her, I'm taking care of him. And sometimes it's like the end of the day, I'm like, I'll see you tomorrow. I didn't even get to ask you, I don't know. It feels like even dinner time now, it's like not fun.
Yeah.
Because you're chasing kids around and then you got to do their routine and he has to do books. I got to do it's like, yeah. So we really do prioritize like every Friday we have like non-negotiable. We have to go to lunch and we're talking about, we could talk about anything personal, anything business. It's like kind of a meeting, but like sitting over lunch and we're not in the office. No one can text us. Like we're just like looking each other in the eyes and saying everything we're feeling. So I do feel like that's our like saving grace.
I love that. And I love that it doesn't have to be like date night. It can just be lunch. It doesn't need to be that serious.
Yeah. And it's honestly like, I feel like better.
Yeah.
For some reason, like date night feels like you have to be, I don't know, you're more focused on like this date and whatever, but that's like almost like a meeting between you and your significant other.
Yeah. Okay. I'm taking notes. I'm single, but like when I get a new, I'm going to do I'm just going to copy everything that you're doing. Okay. So what's the future of Tezza? Do you guys have anything coming up, or is there anything that I know you can't share your proprietary information, but
no, I can share some things.
Okay.
Lots of things. I mean, I think we have such an amazing community, and they're super involved, and we really always are looking for ways to like connect with them in bigger and better ways. So we've done a few like cool pop-ups and things like that. So we have a lot of really cool in-person experiences coming, which I'm excited about. And on top of that, I'm obviously, one big thing we do is collaborate with brands, which we love to do. And it's so fun, and working with brands that have a really strong aesthetic and thinking of ways we can bring that to life in the app is so cool. But next year we're really working with like creative directors. So actual creatives themselves, and letting them kind of lead the way for the month. Like, what should we create? What would your community be interested in? How can we, think about this in a new way? So I'm really excited about that, just because I think we have such a global audience. In some ways, sometimes we aren't able to, tap into somebody else's creative process, because I'm the one curating the entire experience. So I'm excited to kind of bring that to life. So if anyone listening is interested and wants to be a part of it, reach out to us.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I love that. It's like your brand is like morphable. You don't have to be the only artist. Like other people can use it too.
Exactly. And I think that is like, when someone uses it, they feel like it's their own. Yeah. They come up with their own editing style. So we're really leaning into like, how can we customize it to be your experience more? So yeah.
I love that. I do think that there's something that's a common thread between successful businesses that I've noticed, especially in the art space. It's like if you're empowering other people, they're always going to come back, and you're always going to be able to grow your community, because people want to be better, and it's really about them.
Exactly. Yeah. And like I heard this the other day somewhere, and it really like it kind of summed up a lot of things I feel, but it was saying like the key to happiness is service, which is like, duh, that feels so like wholesome and everyone's heard it. But I do feel like anytime I'm feeling depressed or anxious or confused or stressed, it's like if I just take my thoughts and put them on like, how can I serve somebody else? Like I'm feeling like such a better person, and I'm thinking clearer, and like all my worries are gone. Yeah. And so even I take that into, my job and everything that I do, like how can I better serve these people and make them feel like excited and happy and want to create, and like it's a safe place to come, and all of that. So like that really is kind of almost like the core of our product, really. Is like, how are we serving these people in this positive way? So
yeah, 100%. That is the way to get out of depression. And I don't know why all my episodes go back to AA, but like AA, the 12th step is obviously like being of service to others, and they always say like take a contrary action, which like when we're thinking of ourselves and how we're going to benefit from something, you're supposed to, because that's like how a lot of us are wired, most of us are wired to be, just kind of selfish. Right. But if you take the contrary action, which is like, okay, let me not think about myself for a second, think about everybody else and how they could benefit from something, you end up benefiting in the end more than if you were doing something for yourself, which is kind of a little bit of a mind trick. But I think once you figure that out, it's like almost, I think it's the key to life, guys. You heard it here.
It actually is. Like, it seems dumb because I feel like I heard that my whole life as a kid, and you're like, yeah, got it.
Yeah.
You kind of get over it. You get, I think in your 20s, you're like, it does. But like you get in your 20s, you get like stuck in, you're thinking about college, career, you. It's like all this stuff, and you can kind of get like overwhelmed.
Yes.
And if you just kind of take it back to the basics.
Totally. And especially as a creator too. And like, I don't know, as a podcast host and a creator and everything, like, do you ever just like feel so sick of yourself? I'm like sick of seeing my own goddamn face. Sorry. So you got that. Sick of seeing my own face. Sick of hearing myself. I'm like, I need to like do something for other people for a minute. And it really fixes it. It really makes you feel better. So I don't know.
But I mean, I think like even just your podcast, it's like you're bringing on so many people, like pulling out such cool stories. Like I'm obsessed. I feel like that's like, you're doing such a good thing.
That is the fun part. And you too get to do that because you get to collaborate with so many different people, and everything that you guys are creating is to empower other people. So it's like, that's why we're happy.
Exactly.
This is why we're still
the key,
here.
Guys.
This is the
No,
key.
there's this guy. I walk on the like boardwalk every day, and there's this guy every single day without fail. He's like riding his bike, shirt off. I mean, this is like Venice for you, but shirt off, bleach blonde hair. He's holding an American flag, and he goes up to people. Have a good day, champion. You're a champion. He's telling everyone
whatever mental illness he has.
No, and he's like, I heard him today. He's like, I do this literally every day, and I love it. It's like my life's purpose. I'm like, yes. I'm like, why not? Like, he's making other people happy and laugh. He's feeling good. And then I'm like, I'm going to have a better day.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go pass this on to someone else.
100%. We love him. He's going to come on next. Okay. Well, we're going to end with this. If you could think of like one quote that really inspires you that we can leave the listeners with, do you think, and if you can't come up with them, I can ask you something else.
I can.
Okay.
I just, let me think. I have like a few.
Or you can say a few. Oh, she's got more than one.
A few. No, I mean, one thing I always go back to, and I kind of said this earlier, but it's like done is better than perfect. It's like I couldn't run my business if I didn't think about that quote every single day.
That's so funny. Yeah, because you're such a perfectionist. See, I never try to perfect things. I'm always like, send it out. I don't know what can it.
But even just like if you have an idea or something, I think it's like you want to like make sure it's really good. Of course, like you want to put like thought behind it.
Your best work out.
I think like it's never gonna be the final thing. So just get it out,
and
then someone will tell you how it needs to be better, and then you'll get it to be perfect
eventually.
One day.
Yeah. Or never. Okay, done is better than perfect. You heard it from Tezza herself.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this is like we're getting so wholesome here today. I don't know,
but
like
that's okay.
I like it.
We love that here.
Okay. Like feel the fear and do it anyway.
Oh, that's
I think
a
that
good
kind of
one.
goes back to me playing in the band and doing all these things that I just didn't know I had such a confidence and like that I could be the person that I am today if I didn't like tell myself that. Even as a kid, my mom, I'd be like, oh, I need to go to the doctor for this and that. And she'd be like, call, like pick up the phone and call. And I'd be like, can you just do it? And she's like, no, like she would make us.
Because you were so shy.
Yeah. And just like, I don't know, you don't want to call the doctor. Like,
no.
And she's like, but she was like, you can do this. Like feel the fear and do it anyway. Like that was like common. And I honestly like still have to use that today when I have to do things or walk into a room with a bunch of men and tech and try and act like I know what I'm doing, even though I do. Like that's like a good one for me.
Yeah.
So.
Feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah. I definitely, I feel like that it builds self-esteem really is what it does, because then and it's like that, in psychology, it's like exposure. It's, what do they call it? Exposure therapy. It's like the more you put yourself into a situation, like things become a little less scary.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it doesn't feel good in the moment, but the payoff is so much better than just living small. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for having
me. And where
me.
can we find you?
Just the good old Instagram, Tezza.Barton. If you follow the app, it's just Tezza. Mm-hmm. I used to be just Tezza, but then I gave it back to the app. So
okay. Oh, you gave it to the app. Look at that.
Like I really loved the handle for so long, but then I was like,
I thought that that's what I thought. You used to just be Tezza, but then you added the and you even put the period too, because somebody else probably has Tezza Barton.
Yes,
of course they did.
Did
you offer them money?
I did. I tried. Yeah. They won't answer their DM. I'm
of
still
course,
trying
they
to
don't exist.
No.
They're a robot. There's also like an Aurora Culpo on TikTok, and they won't give it to me either. That's why I'm not a TikTok star.
Exactly.
So.
We had so much potential, but our time will come.
Yes, 100%. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.